Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, The Seger Stories. Today we are talking all things Whole30. I've been mentioning it in some of my other videos, and I decided I wanted to do a full video just on what the Whole30 is, how I plan and prep. So I hope you'll stick around. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Okay, so a little bit about the Whole30. What it is, it's basically clean eating for 30 days. You eliminate food groups, whole food groups like dairy, sugar, alcohol, grains, legumes, and even things like chips, fries, desserts that could maybe be made from compliant ingredients. Like chips could be made from a compliant healthy oil and potatoes, but it's still not allowed on the plan. So what it is, it's basically promoting you being your best self and living optimally for 30 days. There is kind of a tough love rule. No cheats, no cheat days, no cheat meals, no slip ups, nothing. You are living this plan for 30 days. And people have so many testimonials. They have seen amazing results. I know that I've read stories where it's cut down on inflammation that people have with things like arthritis or like fibromyalgia, IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. If you're not familiar, it can help boost fertility. It has helped get people off of medications for cholesterol and high blood pressure or even type 2 diabetes. I mean, it is a really great program, and those are some lofty claims to be able to get rid of the medication. But when you think about it, if you're only putting very, very healthy things in your body and you're getting rid of all the junk and the sugars and the chemicals, it is amazing what you can achieve by doing that. So like I mentioned, the plan is an elimination diet for 30 days, very strict, no slip ups, no mistakes. And then at the end of 30 days, you slowly start to reintroduce those food groups. So this is a great option because then you know if you might have a particular problem with something, like maybe you can eat gluten, it doesn't cause any problems for you. Maybe that is a problem area. That's a pretty common one. But, there are things that I found out personally from my past experiences doing the Whole30 that I do not feel great after I have any meat that is cooked in a soy oil. And most restaurants do have that. So I know that it's just, I can tolerate it okay, but I know I don't feel my best. So that's one thing that I've learned. I know my husband has learned that, dairy products can give him some issues sometimes. So you really get to experiment and see, what are my problem foods, what doesn't work for me, what does work for me. So I think it's really great in that respect. But the foods that you are eliminating, they're not just arbitrary. Basically, any food that you ingest on the Whole30 has to meet 4 pretty strict criteria. It has to promote a healthy psychological response. So, eating a whole carton of Oreos probably not going to fit into that category. It has to promote a healthy hormonal response. It has to promote a healthy gut or digestion. And then it has to promote immunity and minimize inflammation. So those are the criteria. And like I said, if a food or a food group doesn't meet that set of criteria, it's eliminated from this diet. So most of the foods that you're consuming are whole, healthy meats, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats. Now, that can sound kind of restricting. And forgive me if I'm looking down here. I took some notes because I didn't want to forget anything to tell you guys. It can sound really restricting. And the other thing I forgot to tell you about this kind of quote unquote diet, because it's really a focus on healthy eating and it's not a weight loss plan. However, people do lose weight and sometimes a significant amount of weight while they're on the plan, but the plan has you not weigh or take any measurements for the 30 days because that's not the end goal. The goal is feeling your best self, and it can be great. So this will be my 4th Whole30 that we are going to be starting here coming up on January 30th. And side note, I hope you join us. I'm going to be sharing a lot of content here on this channel and also on Instagram and Facebook under the Seger Stories, so you can follow along for lots of tips and recipes and things, and we can do it together, which would be super exciting. But we're going to be starting on January 30th, and that is my 4th, my husband's 3rd. We did our last one last fall. We started mid-September, and we're set to be done towards the mid-end of October. And we actually kind of continued on a few days. We actually did more like a whole 40, whole 45, somewhere in there. And then we did the slow reintroduction. So we weren't back to eating all foods until I think right before Thanksgiving, fittingly so, because even though this is a lifestyle that a lot of people adopt, everybody is going to want to have, a sweet treat on Thanksgiving or a special dish and on special occasions. And that's completely fine. But for 30 days, it's not. So if you do have a big event, something coming up that you absolutely could not get by on the whole 30 diet, then I'd encourage you to wait and do it when you do have the time and the commitment to commit to the full 30 days. So yeah, my experience, they've been mixed, to tell you the truth. I mean, I am not the picture of health always. I'm on a journey on my own, trying to be more healthy, to eat more foods, to eat clean. And I really enjoy the whole 30. The first time that I did it on my own, I had a stomach ache for like 2 straight weeks. Like, no joke. My stomach hurt all the time. And I would tell people, I'm doing this diet, I'm just not feeling good. And people would say, well, why are you doing it then? Stop. But somehow in my heart of hearts, I knew, like, no, it's hurting. And that means I need to be doing this that I'm doing, because I knew that I was detoxing and I had not eaten healthy at all. Like, vegetables were foreign to me at that point for the most part. I knew that I really, really needed this and introducing whole, healthier foods into my life. Now, after I did that first whole 30, that doesn't mean that, I lived great. I mean, my personal journey, I had many backslides, and, I've struggled with healthy eating and weight loss, but I keep coming back to the whole 30 because I think it is a great reset button. And I'm so proud to say that, after we came off of it just in time for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we had all the treats. And if you watch my other videos, yeah, we were baking cookies and going out and having all sorts of terrible stuff for us. But neither my husband or I gained any weight back during that time. We managed to, have our treats. We were still eating whole 30 compliant meals, or we were having, a healthier option or food, getting our exercise in, and we didn't gain any of the holiday weight. But we did start to feel sluggish and decided that absolutely it's something that we need to do. We need to get back on this plan, have another reset for 30 days, which we're super excited about, actually, and then kind of continue clean eating throughout our lives. We think that this can be sustainable with treats and exceptions and obviously things like that. But getting back to that 30-day reset, not feeling the addictions to the carbs and the sugar that we both struggle with, truthfully. So that's a little bit about our journey and where we're starting. And I want to take time in this video to talk a little bit about what you can do and what we have done to prepare this and each time that we've done a whole 30. So there are a couple books that I would recommend if you're interested in kind of learning the science behind this stuff, where it comes from. The first one that I would recommend is this. This is kind of the original book. It starts with food, and it's by the authors and creators of the Whole 30, Dallas and Melissa Hartwig. So I had found, well, first I'd heard about the Whole 30 plan and was looking for the book, and I expected to find like a recipe book with sample menus and pictures and, what I was used to. And I found this book that was kind of like a novel. So that was a little strange. The first part of it reads very sciencey, and they tell you, like, if you don't want to know the science behind why we chose these foods or how these foods are received and digested by your body, then skip that section and just get to the rules. That's fine. But I really loved reading the sciencey stuff. And they said it's a really watered down version, and it's complex. It's a lot to take in. So I don't know what the non-watered down version is. I don't think I could make it through that, but it was really interesting to read that. And then the next part of the book brings you into why they're eliminating foods. It talks about those 4 criteria, right? And why we're eliminating these foods. But then, silver lining, the last part talks about, here's all the little delicious, wonderful things that you can eat while you're on this diet. So that was a really interesting book. I'd recommend as a resource, if you'd like, pick that up. The other one that I'm going to recommend, and this is funny that I'm recommending, because this Whole 30 book I have owned for the last 2 Whole 30s that I have done. And you guys, I've not cracked it open at all. There are some amazing and delicious recipes in this book. And so this time around, I am committing. I'm committing to you. I'm committing to me that I will make some delicious recipes out of this book, and I'm excited. This has a lot of the information in it too. Just going through it, it's, talking about what to do when you travel, how to eat seasonally, what the rules are, and then it gives a lot of great resources and recipes, where to buy things like that. So this is a really good book, and I'm excited, like I said, to dive into it a little bit more on this one. The other thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is visit whole30.com, and they have a ton of PDF resources available on their website for you to download and print. And some of the ones that I like are the meal planner that's showing you what size, what you should put on your plate, the size of protein, fill it around with vegetables, how big your fruit serving should be, all of that good stuff. There is also a really great guide on just the rules, quick and dirty look at it. This is what I can have, this is what I can't have. And they have a really great list like that for the additives. This is what I can have, this is what I can't have. And that one is really, really, really helpful going shopping, because I'll get to shopping in a little bit. But when you're in the aisles and reading through the ingredients list, it is an excellent, excellent cheat sheet to know what works on the Whole30 and what doesn't. And then the last one that I really, really love is a shopping list, and it lists through the proteins, produce, healthy oils, fruits, all of that stuff. And it's not that you couldn't figure out, from the books and things, and it's not like you're going to go and buy everything on that list, but it is a great resource to get ideas, especially when you've been, doing this a couple weeks and you're like, I'm in a rut, I need something new. I can't eat another egg for breakfast, whatever you might be in with that. I would really recommend downloading some of those PDFs, and I put mine in clear pouches and then hang them on the side of the fridge. I can grab them really easily, and I take them to the grocery store with me, especially that additives cheat sheet, because sometimes I've had bad reception in grocery stores, and I'm constantly Googling stuff like, can I have this on the Whole30? Can I have this? So you're going to want to have those. So once you understand the rules of the program and know what you're up against, or up for, I should say, it is time to take inventory of what you really have, which is my next tip for preparing. Take inventory, use up what you have on hand. And I do this for two reasons. Number one, I don't like to see food go to waste. So if we have, let's say, some cottage cheese and some milk and things that are going to go bad, I want to make sure and use those up before we're starting the Whole30, where I can't have those things anymore for 30 days. And obviously they're not going to last 30 days. So that is reason one. Reason two, I like to prepare my budget a little bit for the Whole30. So while you're on the Whole30, you are eating as much as you can organic fruits and vegetables, especially those that they call, like, I think they call them the dirty dozen sometimes. Those things that you can't peel, you should try to buy organic, and that would be things like, grapes or certain types of berries that they can't wash really well and might have traces of pesticides on them. And then you're also encouraged to get responsibly raised meats. And so you're looking for things that are grass-fed or wild caught or free range, that type of thing. And the thought behind it being, you are making a sacrifice, you're making a commitment for 30 days to get your body cleaned up, to be your optimum self. You do not want to introduce pesticides, chemicals, antibiotics, anything coming to you through what you're eating. You really want to be eating clean. So that is the two reasons that I make sure I take an inventory. I go through everything that I have. I kind of make up a sample menu to eat through what we have. And then I have the extra budget money from our grocery budget to carry over. So we did this for 3 weeks, and I actually had 2 weeks that I did not go to the grocery store at all, and 1 week that I spent a little over half of my budget. So I'm coming into the Whole30 with an extra 2 weeks plus under my belt of our grocery budget to go shopping. And it's not necessary that you really need to spend like that. That's just how we do things. We stick to a pretty tight grocery budget, but I know there's a little bit of added expense in the Whole30, so I like to prepare that way. Okay, the next thing I'm going to recommend is go to the store, but don't necessarily buy anything. So your next trip to the store before the Whole30, you might want to go and start familiarizing yourself with what's out there. You might want to go to a couple different stores actually. We did this I think last 2 times ago when we did the Whole30. We went to a grocery store and we just started reading labels, and a lot of the labels we were reading were for things that were made by the store. So we found a store brand sausage that's actually Whole30 compliant, and now it is a staple that we have. We'll fry it up with some sweet potatoes and onions and peppers and mix in some eggs and have like a sausage scramble for breakfast in the morning. It is beyond delicious, and you won't believe the things that you can find in the stores if you're just reading labels. Look for the Whole30 approved. Make sure you're reading the back of things. I was surprised to learn that the ketchup we were eating, which I thought was good for us, had a lot of sugar in it, so we had to switch that up. But I was very, very thankful to know that mustard, good old French's mustard, is compliant. So that one you might already have on hand. Primal Kitchen does a really great job with a whole line of dressings, and you can just look again for the label that says they are Whole30 compliant, or you can make your own dressings. If you do, you might want to look at some different types of oils. I personally like cooking with a few different kinds of olive oil. I keep just an extra virgin on hand for the cooking, but then when I make dressings and things, I go for that extra light tasting olive oil to mix into things. And another thing as far as oils go that's really, really great to have on hand are these sprays I do a lot of sheet pan dinners. Target Good and Gather brand makes a really good one, and everything is compliant with the Whole30, but Pam also makes one labeled organic, but when I looked at the label of that one, there was a lot of added stuff, including soy. And make sure you're looking at snack ideas. Now, I looked through all the beef jerky the other day in Target, even the organic. I have yet to find one that doesn't have sugar or a non-compliant ingredient. But what I do like are, I mentioned before, the Lara bars or the RX bars. These are really great options for a quick source of protein, but beware, they do sneak a lot of chocolate, a lot of peanut butter and sugar into these. So really, as you're looking at them, read the labels and go for the fruit kinds, because I typically find that those don't have the chocolate or the naughty ingredients. And then the last thing, make sure and invest in some sparkling waters. These are compliant, and it's really great as a transition, especially if you are a soda drinker, to have something like this on hand. Okay, my next recommendation is to make sure that you have a plan. You don't want to walk into the grocery store without a game plan. You'll feel overwhelmed. This is a new type of eating. Do yourself a favor, sit down, write out everything that you have on hand that is already compliant. Maybe you want to write out some meal ideas, or maybe you want to take it day by day and write down exactly what you want to eat on that day. You do you, whatever works for you. But I am going to recommend that don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do elaborate things, try new foods for every meal. Start out slow. Start out with things that you know how to make, that you and your family love, that might already be compliant or would be compliant with just a small tweak here or there. So start there, then you can gradually add things in. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn how to cook with new ingredients, but don't put so much pressure on yourself to do it all at once. Don't put pressure on yourself for things to be perfect. Everybody's going to have a meal that's a hodgepodge of leftovers, and at the end of the day you got fed and you were compliant, and that's fine. So don't worry about it, but make a list, go in armed with a plan, have an idea of what you need to spend. If you were on your grocery expedition kind of reading labels, you could also be looking at pricing so you knew where you sat budget wise when you do go into the store. And then my last tip is to commit to the Whole30 for the full 30 days. You can do this. I know that you can. Don't say, I'm just going to try it. I'll give it a week and see how it goes. It might be the hardest week of your life. The second week might not be so great either. By the third week, you have what they call tiger blood. You have energy. You don't know where it came from. You are feeling great, and you wonder why it took you this long. I've never known anybody to get to the end of a Whole30 and regret that they did this for themselves, because you feel amazing and it is worth it. So don't give up. Don't think that you can't do this. Don't give yourself any excuses. I love, actually, in the book, as I was reading it again, kind of in preparation for doing the Whole30 again this time around, they talk about all the excuses that people give, and one of them is, well, I don't like vegetables. And they just said, well, tough noogies. If you don't like vegetables, we all do a lot of things that we don't like to do. We shovel the snow, we pay the bills, we eat our vegetables. We're adults. We have to do it. So I really like the tough love attitude behind that, because there is absolutely no reason that you cannot do this plan, and you might find that your tastes change enough that once you're off those, they call them in the book frankenfoods, or those really, really heavy sugars and things, you might find the sweetness in carrots or tomatoes. I know that I have really surprised myself that a salad could taste so sweet with those things on it, because I was used to an Oreo being sweet, and nothing in nature is sweet by comparison. So just give it the time, give it the commitment. For 30 days. We'll be here with you. Again, we are starting our whole 30 journey on Saturday the 30th. So it'll be the 30th and the 31st of January, and then a full 28 days in February. And March 1st, we're going to start reintroductions. So I hope that you will follow along with us on this journey. If you did like this video today, please give me a thumbs up below. I would love that. I also hope that you'll subscribe, as we have more content coming. And then make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook. Well, the Seger Stories is the handle on both of those platforms, and I'm going to be sharing lots of recipes and more tips and tricks as we head through our month together. I'm also going to be coming on in just a few days this week. I'll be back on Friday with our grocery haul for the whole 30 and what we bought to get started on Saturday. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.